James Searles designed his piece in circle specifically for this location, which is also in the center of campus, but built it in his Colorado studio.
The piece that's here is based around a molecular structure, which is maybe a bit more on what I would call the rational, the cool, the calculated, kind of more science-oriented. But still, it's circles, so it's pretty romantic in another way. So it fits kind of a genre of art that I think really belongs under a public setting. Public art, by nature, really shouldn't be as, quote, controversial, because it's a broad spectrum of humanity that's looking at it.
Parson, Marolis, and Searles created site-specific sculptures. So did Patrick Doherty, although his work is temporary. He named his high-foot creation Shortcut because it marks an intersection of footpaths near the edge of Prexy's pasture.
Sticks were the first building materials that humankind had. It's my conviction that most people know about sticks, that there's a kind of even a genetic predisposition to them. And when you see kids enter their building phase, you see them picking up sticks and knowing everything about that stick. It's a tool, it's a weapon, it's the outline of your house.
Doherty always uses local materials, so Don Bath of the Bath Ranch and Lefty Cole of the Deerwood Ranch let the artist and his crew cut saplings from their land.
It's easy for me to use volunteers because I believe that they know about this material. It's easy for me to continue to use it because I think I'm in a long line of hunter and gatherers that have used this material for eons, and I'm reminiscing about all of that past history in some way. And since it's embedded in people's psyche, there's a way that leads the public to think about the natural world and their relation to the natural world, and maybe starting with the Garden of Eden, the thought that you were unencumbered in the natural world, and then now we're increasingly encumbered and we've lost touch with it.
This work by Stephen Siegel will also wear away. If Prexy's pasture is ground zero of the exhibition, then Siegel's piece is a satellite sculpture on the outskirts of town, next to a popular bike path.
I like to work in sites that are sort of out on the edge. I love landscape, and the work I do is very much about landscape. It has been for 30 years. In this case, the piece, because of its organic nature and its configuration and the fact that it looks like a big worm or a snake that's diving underground and popping up on the other end, it deals with the landscape in a way that by the time we're finished, I hope is successful.
Other sculptors, such as John Henry, contributed pieces originally designed for a different location.
We're doing a barn raising today. I mean, that's exactly what we're doing, and that's really no different than what my great uncle did, in 1860, 1870. Of course, they didn't have cranes in those days. They had to rig things and pull them up with teams of horses and stuff like that. So it's got to be in my blood somewhere.
Henry's River High now stands at the entrance to the Laramie Community Recreation Center.
You can say, why did you put it there? But what is not important. It's what it is. And if it doesn't have a title, if it doesn't have a description behind it, people are lost because they're visually illiterate. Most Americans are visually illiterate. They don't know anything about what they see. They know what they're told that they see.
Charmaine Locke's piece was originally commissioned by the city of Corpus Christi, but now seems at home next to the Albany County Public Library.
The title of the piece is Open Book, and in one hand she is holding an open book. Other hands hold a bowl, a fish, a ring, a symbol of eternity, of connection, of continuance. The egg and the lotus So these are all symbols to me of universal symbols of nourishment for the body and the mind, which women have a central role in passing on knowledge to their children, and nourishment obviously in many forms. My art is very personal. It really generates from my own internal, my life with my family, my husband, my daughters, my granddaughters, grandchildren. So family is a large component, and the emotional context of all of that, of course, is prominent in a lot of women's art. It's not about abstract philosophy of art. It's more about life and living and our reaction to that.
There were private donations, there were foundations, there were other people involved in financing and putting this together, getting the art here and getting it displayed. And we were involved in getting locations in town set up for the individual pieces of art.
Most of these sculptures couldn't have been erected without the contributions of people who work for the City of Laramie Parks and Recreation Department and the University Physical Plant.
I'm really profoundly interested in the way that the grounds crew and the facilities people have pulled together and helped with these sculptures. And everybody seems to have a good sense of humor about it, and if they don't personally like one sculpture or another, they have a good laugh about it. So, but that hasn't dulled their enthusiasm for putting the next one up.
The obvious support provided by the city and the university was one reason some artists agreed to exhibit.
It was very clear from the beginning that the organization was behind it, that they had the resources to do something good here. So the opportunity was there, and I always jump at those.
This effort was a partnership. It has only helped to solidify the connections that we have with folks in the community. From the day the exhibition began, we've had folks asking, how can we keep these things? Both the campus and the community were energized by this at a time when the art museum was closed for renovations, and we thought there'd be really a decline in the presence of art on our campus and in our community. Just the opposite occurred. I think the reaction of students and folks in the community to the pieces distributed both on and off campus was just pretty remarkable.
One of the exhibition's immediate impacts was the opportunity it gave students, especially summer interns from the University of Wyoming Art Museum, who work side by side these modern masters.
It's a good learning experience, that's for sure.
I remember that I base my theories on famous people that I met and got to work with and got to meet in school and then went and apprenticed with afterwards, and so it all comes back around. I think it's very important, that interaction, which kind of goes back to what we're doing here, is Susan is allowing the public to actually interact with real artists that are doing things around the world. That's kind of unusual.
The interns worked with most all of the artists who constructed pieces on site, and so this was a series of short apprenticeships in which the master artists passed on their ideas and techniques to potential sculptors of the future.
Stephen was just here, and he made he was famous for his installations where he explored the concept of the envelope, a package in which other objects were held, and you saw the objects in the inside more than the package themselves.
All of the materials I would have never considered chicken wire or screening or any of that stuff, and he's thought it all through, and it's pretty amazing just how many techniques he goes through.
We all took the internship to see the processes firsthand, and in a way to get to know the individuals and kind of make it more realistic to us, make our own dreams feel a little more realistic, as they're not just images, they're actually individuals working in a way that's human.
It's one of my favorite granites. It's called rose granite.
Jesus Morales had no trouble sparking interest in these elementary students attending the UW Art Museum Summer Art Camp.
I thought he was pretty nice to build like something for the kids, a piece of his artwork for the kids to play on.
It's hard to describe the personal experience each viewer has, but to the community as a whole, public art can enhance the physical appearance of a place, giving it a good feel, so it's a place you want to visit again and again.
My whole philosophy right now is about creating sacred places around the world. To me, every place is sacred. It's just a matter of drawing attention to that place. And so when I go to a place, I can create something that people will come to if you do the right things.
Not all art lovers can afford to commission an original master work, but when communities and institutions pool their resources for exhibits such as this, everyone can enjoy.
The public setting is access, having access, and so that anyone and everyone could come look and partake.
The art is really made to look at. It's made to look at and to think about and to contemplate and to dialogue within your own headset. And you exercise a certain intellectual process by doing that.
I hear an awful lot of artists say, well, why do you go and show in Laramie, Wyoming? I am not an elitist. I really believe strongly in putting pieces in places in the world where people really haven't had the opportunity to see the kinds of things that I feel are important.
I think what you find is an enhanced art appreciation, because we don't have that much art in town. And people in the community have found this to be a positive aspect, saying to themselves, hey, this looks nice, this is interesting, this is something that has been missing in this community.
And the possibility for chance encounters is what allows public art its unique magic.
When you work outdoors, ultimately you're dealing with a public that's coming at it from a million different angles. They're not necessarily expecting to see art, they're out for a bike ride. And I think that's terrific. Some of the best responses I've ever had are from people who've come upon pieces of mine that don't have any signs, that aren't labeled or announced, and they're just strolling down a path in the woods, and all of a sudden there's this huge thing that they weren't expecting, and they don't even know that they're supposed to look at it and think about art. It's just something unexpected and hopefully moving or wonderful.
Another result of partnerships between artists and community members is the ownership people feel for the sculpture if they or someone they know help to make it happen.
All of this local interest in it during its building phase helps embed it and really serves to help with the longevity of the piece.
We've grown attached to these pieces of art, both on our campus and in key locations around town, and we're hoping that at least some of them get to stay.
Hopefully, the city and the university will be able to retain one or more of these world-class pieces. And as for the sculptures that move on to new homes or go back to the earth, they will be remembered by the many who participated in their creation or for the moment of awe they inspired.